Good evening. Welcome to the Thursday, August 3rd, 2023 South Haven Planning Commission meeting. I'll call the meeting to order. If I could get a motion to approve the agenda.
Roll
Roll call, excuse me. We'll do a roll call. Mr. Luke?
Clark Gruber.
Here.
Larry Heinig.
Here.
Darrell Williams.
Here.
Michael Neese.
Here.
Amy Nichols.
Here.
Bob Sherman.
Here.
George Sleeper.
Here.
Janice Farney.
Here.
Tim Stegman.
Here. Next up, we'll do the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the agenda as printed.
Second.
It's been moved and supported to approve the agenda as printed. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next up, approval of the meeting minutes, July 6th, subcommittee workshop, and July 13th, regular meeting. We can do them individually or as a group.
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes, A and B, as posted in the agenda.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next up, public comment. Citizens in the audience may address the planning commission regarding items on the agenda for which there is no scheduled public hearing. Please state your name and address, and you'll have 5 minutes.
My name is Halle. Last name is Borgfjord, and I live on 302 Michigan Avenue. I'm a full-time resident there. My first question is, I understand about the fireplaces and fire pits. Somebody's been
Excellent.
complaining about those.
Yeah, we have that on our,
And how many people have
have a
been complaining about that?
we haven't discussed it yet.
No,
I can't give you any answers to it.
if it's 100 people complain, 5,000 people live here just about, and I don't think it's fair to penalize everybody for that. I think take that into consideration. And another thing, you talk about fire pit and fireplace. These are two different things. Fire pit is open fire. The fireplace is closed on three sizes. It's just open in the front and with a metal screen in front of it. I don't think it had to be 25 feet away from anything.
Okay.
And and I guess people are complaining about the smoke from fireplaces and fire pits. Is that my understanding? Or is that correct? That's correct? So if you have it 25 feet away from a house, does that create less smoke? Same smoke. I guess you don't have any answers.
Not yet, I don't.
Yeah. I think in my case, when we built the house 7 years ago, this was in our plan to have an outdoor fireplace. And I think at least people who live here permanently and built the house when this ordinance was not in place, we should be grandfathered into it. And I think each case should be reviewed by you and the fire department. You know, if it's safe to have it. You know, some people have fire pit and a big tree right next to it. And nobody says anything about it. No, that's a great fire hazard. So, and that's all I have for now. I guess
Okay.
guess you don't have any answer for it, so.
Well, we'll see what kind of answers
what
we can
happens.
get you when we get to that agenda item.
What's that?
We'll see what kind of answers we can get you when we get to the agenda item.
Okay. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move on to my planning commission comment log. August 2nd, received a communication from Mike Campbell regarding fire pit and fireplace regulations. July 18th, received one from Griffin Graham as a message to the Planning Commission to address public comments and misconceptions about zoning rewrite process. And July 14th, received a communication from Mary Hosley regarding zoning ordinance rewrite process. Next up, unfinished business, we have none. New business, item 5, 776 Monroe Boulevard, site plan review. Kelly?
Sure. This project is a site plan review application. Nick Lantinga, who's here tonight of Dune Restoration Services, applied to rebuild and upgrade a set of dune stairs at 776 Monroe Boulevard. The stairs will be nearly 80 feet in length and will be rebuilt in the footprint of the existing stairway. This application also includes decking that is 4 foot 7 inches wide by 16 foot 4 inches in length on either side of the stairs, and that will be built at the base of the bluff, landward of an existing seawall. Setbacks and lot coverage requirements are met, and this project was reviewed by the Harbor Commission at the July 18 meeting. It was recommended for approval. Your packet includes a letter from the county drain commissioner's office. It's an exemption letter from the soil erosion permit process, so there's not a soil erosion permit needed for this application. And again, this is a site plan review, not a special land use, so no public hearing is required for this application.
Okay. Could you put up page 23? There's the parcel. And then page 27.
This one is less quick.
That's the proposed project. Okay, and who do we have with us this evening?
I'm Nick Lanting, I'm the contractor. This is Tom Arnold, he is,
Thomas Bennett, the owner
sorry,
of the
Tom Bennett.
property.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything in particular you'd like to tell us about your project?
It's replacing current stairs that are at minimum treacherous. They're far out of code and they're dangerous to traverse. You'll find that the tread sizes are deceptively small. My foot does not even half, granted I don't have small feet, but not even half of my foot would fit on the tread. They really should have been replaced. They should never have been permitted for build.
A small person lived there for a number of
You
years.
have to use the mic.
Sorry, small person lived there, Mary Margaret, I think was her name, for a number of years. So the stairs were built to accommodate, she was actually a midget. So the stairs were built to accommodate her, and now we'd like to have them redone to accommodate us.
Maybe page 36, Kelly. That one has color. Yeah. Okay, any questions for the owner or the builder from the commission?
I really appreciated the detail you had in your drawings, very nicely done, it looks to me, looks like a worthy project.
We built about 40 of them last year alone, and we're on track to surpass that this year. We focus on that project.
I assume that there will be railings on all sides of...
Both sides, yes, ma'am.
Okay. They didn't show up. I also thought it was a very well-written proposal.
Anybody else? No? Any questions for staff? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the site plan application for 776 Monroe Boulevard with the recommendation from staff that the applicant receive and submitting any proper permits from any proper agencies before work would commence. I know we've already got one, but if there's anything else out there.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Have a good evening. Next item, public comment. Citizens in the audience may address the planning commission regarding items that were not on the agenda.
Should probably have people line up.
Yep.
there.
Seeing none, we'll move to unfinished business. There, discussion and non-actionable, there is none. New business, discussion and non-actionable. Item 7, permanent fire pits, fireplaces, and barbecues. Proposed ordinance text amendments. And this is one of our subcommittee workshops. Okay, Kelly.
Sure. So your packet this evening contains recommendations from the subcommittee that has been meeting over the past year to review permanent fireplace, fire pit, and barbecue regulations. I hope you all recall that last year the city council requested that the planning commission review these regulations, which at the time were found to be overly prohibitive. And last July, you all reviewed proposed text amendments which were not approved, but instead we formed a subcommittee to further study the regulations and then provide a recommendation to the full commission. And that committee is comprised of Clark and Mike and George. And so after several meetings, the most recent meeting resulted in the recommended revisions to section 1714 of the zoning ordinance. So just to give the highlights, these revisions would establish setbacks from property lines based on the unit type and fuel source, and it would remove setbacks from structures. Right now, we have both setbacks from primary and accessory structures and from property lines. It would reduce the required setbacks for barbecue or cooking structures to 10 feet from the property line. It would reduce required setbacks for gas or propane fire pit and fireplace structures to 15 feet from the property lines, while wood burning fire pit and fireplace setbacks would remain at 25 feet. This text would also clarify that the setbacks established would be measured from the outside wall of the cooking element or the firebox. And the definitions of each unit in section 201.15 are unchanged. And just as a reminder, these regulations only apply to permanent fire pit, fireplace, or barbecue structures, not portable units. So for this evening, I'm hoping that you all will discuss the subcommittee recommendations, and if you are satisfied with the language that's here, we can schedule a public hearing for an upcoming meeting. And if there are changes that you'd like to see, please let us know, and we will move in that direction instead.
All right, thank you, Kelly. I guess I'll open the floor to those that were on the subcommittee first, if you guys want to elaborate at all.
Yep, indeed. I think important, as you'll notice here, we did treat fireplaces and barbecues separate from fire pits. Those were two separate issues. One was easier to handle than the other, by the way. My only thing with what's presented here is I do take note of Mr. Campbell's letter to us, and if that information is accurate, then I no longer feel that what we settled upon is appropriate, because we settled upon the 25-foot setback for wood-burning fire pits with the understanding that would, by all intents, forbid them. But according to Mr. Campbell, that would only cover about 36% of our housing stock. So if Mr. Campbell's data is correct, then I'm going to probably offer an amendment that would go back to the original idea that fire pits be natural gas or propane.
Okay. Clark, George?
Well, I think one of the keys is that we have basically differentiated between fuel sources.
Right.
And that was one of the key changes. One of the things we talked about, which I thought was a good consideration, is if you're using something for cooking, usually you use it a lot less amount of time than you would if you're having like an outdoor fire that's going to last, many hours of the night. And that's usually the time when your cooking is not late at night. It's usually right around dinner time or lunchtime. I thought that was a good consideration. I see where Mike's coming from. I believe that even if you are going to be burning wood, if you follow the rules and you use good quality wood, I think a 25-foot setback is acceptable. And it mostly will eliminate use of the wood as a fuel source in the area in the city where there's smaller lots.
I don't disagree with George. My issue with that, of course, is enforcement. How are we going to enforce whether they're actually using seasoned wood or unseasoned wood? Are we going to call the police and have them check their wood pile? I think the idea is we're trying to control smoke. And the simplest way to control smoke is to control the fuel. As long as the fuel doesn't produce odor or smoke, I'm fine with it. And that's propane and natural gas. Again, we know the difficulty that we have in enforcing our ordinances already. Let's not encumber the staff with one more thing to check. And by the way, let's keep in mind, as Kelly said, these are for permanent fire pits. We're not talking extensive use of this ordinance to begin with. Most people that I've seen with fire pits are using portable fire pits anyways. Which raises an interesting question. If someone digs a hole in their yard, is that now a permanent fire pit?
I kind of concur with George, and we did listen and debate and talk quite a bit with Mike, because he has a valid concern with regards to the wood source. But I think that's one of the reasons we took, when we look at the chart, we took the wood and moved it to 25 feet. And we were really good with the propane and the gas and separating out, something that would be a fireplace and a fire pit with someone who's going to be cooking. There's someone on Erie Street who built a permanent kitchen, but they have a portable gas grill. And it's hard to tell the difference between that and something that would be permanent. And that works well because of the cooking. So that's why we have the two items. I'm good with the 25 feet for the wood. I mean, like I said, we were only talking about the permanent. And then if we looked at Mike Campbell, who did a really nice job, I mean, that's the maximum amount. Council was concerned about the 35 feet, and didn't take any action on the recommendations that we have because I thought everyone was going to be at 35 feet. Right now, I know of a couple illegally homes right now that are being constructed that are under 35 feet, so we should force them to go to the 35 feet. So to think that, people are going to rush out and put this in, that's just only the potential. Now, what I'd like to do is put together the recommendation and allow council, if they want to decide to say no more wood, to give them that opportunity and to know that it was discussed by us. But then we may go that route. That's only my opinion.
Okay. Anyone else?
I had a question for Kelly. Perhaps I, excuse me, perhaps I missed it in the ordinance. The measure of 25 feet, some of these permanent fire pits are 6, 8 or more feet in diameter. The measure would be from the center point or from the outside wall to the property line? How would you measure that?
The measure of the fire pit itself,
No, of the setback of the
the
25
setback
feet.
would be measured from the outside wall.
Okay, thanks. I missed that in the wording, I guess. Thank you.
One clarification from the committee, when they say barbecues may only burn logs, well, what type of logs are they referring to?
We talked about seasoned hardwood. But again, I hope common sense tells us there's no way we can enforce that. Who's going to climb into someone's backyard and check their fuel, their log pile? That's why, again, I argue that the safest thing here is to, if you remember why this originally came up, it's not just the council's request. For years, we've been dealing with neighbors that have asthma. We've been dealing with the idea that fire pits producing excessive smoke was a problem to neighbors. They couldn't leave their windows open. So we've been talking about propane and natural gas for years. And again, this would affect the permanent fire pits. I just don't see the difficulty. I don't see the downside in requiring them to be a fuel that's odorless and smokeless for the fire pits. The barbecues, the fireplaces, that's a separate story. But I haven't heard what the advantages are of letting someone burn wood in a fire pit.
Getting back to burning wood in a barbecue, that's 10 feet. Is that not, did you not consider 25 feet for wood, or because it's a smaller?
We actually changed that in our last discussion. It was 15 feet. We moved in another 5 feet. The argument was, again, as George mentioned, usually at barbecue, that's an event. You cook your food and it's done. It's not something that's going to last until 11 o'clock at night with a group of people hanging around the barbecue. So it made sense to us to be a little bit more lenient on that than the fire pit. I also recognize that there are a lot of people in the city that smoke fish, that smoke venison. Gives them the ability to do that as well.
Anyone else?
I don't know how many people feel like I do, but I wouldn't even have a fire pit if I couldn't burn wood in it. That's why I have a fire pit, is to be able to smell the wood smoke. And I understand that some people are sensitive to that, but those same people are sensitive to Canadian smoke. And they have to protect themselves. We can't protect the entire citizenship from every malady they might have.
I agree, Larry, but it's not just the health impact. It's the ability to be able to enjoy your neighborhood. We live near the lake. It's nice to be able to open your windows and get that breeze off the lake instead of that nice smell of green wood burning in your neighbor's fire pit.
Opinions, yeah.
Well,
Preferences, yeah.
That's
I agree.
why this will go before the council, and
Yeah.
the electorate will have the final say.
I'm not sure what the numbers would be, but my guess is that there's far more of the temporary or the movable rather than the permanent ones. I've got a movable one in my front yard. My neighbor uses the Solo stove, which are very, very popular. To say those folks can burn wood, seasoned or unseasoned, and I agree it ought to be seasoned, but somebody with a permanent can't, I think that's could get sticky.
Yeah, and again, that's a good issue, Bob, but it's a shame we can't have ordinances against others that produce smoke with portables. We can't, though. It's not part of the zoning administration. So we take care of what we can.
And one thing that I wanted to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
One thing that I wanted to bring to light with the 10 feet as it relates to the barbecue structure, and you have it open to all fuels. One thing that you didn't consider, or what I would consider, when you are smoking your meat, that's a lot longer process than a regular barbecue. So if you're saying that this is going to be something that's going to be around dinner time, that's not a true statement, because if you're smoking your meat, I have an outdoor kitchen, and I have a smoker, and when you start smoking, I mean, that could be up to 8-10 hours. And it goes, most people, when they do it, they're going to do it around dinner time, and they let it go on a low fuel through the evening and through the night if it needs be. So I think that
Darrell, that's another really good point. And again, we have to look back at the history. We have been meeting on this for a year.
Yeah.
That came up, and we discussed that in detail because Lige was on
Sure, yeah.
the group, and Lige smokes ribs, and obviously it takes 6-8 hours, maybe overnight. The difference was that we talked about it being a different kind of smoke than the noxious smoke that comes from someone burning construction material in their fire pit.
Right.
Which has happened, and which was one of the reasons that neighbors got interested in this in the first place. It'd be great if everybody was burning fruit, hardened fruit logs. But when you have people in town who just want to party around a fire pit, and there's a house going up for construction next door, guess what gets burned? Scrap 2x4s. I had tar paper being burnt in the one behind us. Unacceptable.
I just would like to say, first of all, I appreciate a year of your lives, gentlemen, on this, and I'm hesitant to say that we need to change what you guys came to agreement on because of one email that and don't get me wrong, I think Mike Campbell is a really smart gentleman, but we don't know if those facts are true, and I'm hesitant to change anything right now. I'm happy to leave it this way and let city council be in charge of, changing whatever needs to be changed, because I think it's disrespectful to your work also.
Amy, I'm not changing because of one email. I'm changing because we made the statement at our last meeting of our subgroup that by doing it at 25 feet would eliminate burning wood in a fire pit. Turns out that's not true.
We think it's not true. We think. Still not, I'm just hesitant to change. I just think that city council can do what they want to do with it. But they can research that if they would like, but.
Agreed.
So some of the more dense blocks with the smaller lots, as it relates to what I've heard is the primary concern was in the summer with the windows open, your house fills up with smoke from the neighbors. And that one I sympathize with, and I can't help but recall the social district that was passed is from, October to March or April, right? And there is also the possibility you could do something similar with this, where you say, okay, June, July, and August, you can't burn wood in the fire pit outside. And then you get into the colder months where your neighbors are more likely to have their windows shut. So did you discuss that at all?
We did not.
That doesn't seem to be as really a land use issue more than it is you could say the same thing about the temporary fire pits in that case. It's not so much a land use as much as it's when you use it type thing.
There's a couple ways of going at this. So unless anybody else has anything,
I have one question.
Okay.
Kelly, has the fire department or the police been in on this discussion at all, particularly the police? I know a neighbor called me recently complaining of, on our neighborhood, of smoke for several nights coming through their bedroom windows. And they did call the police, and the police went to check it out. However, how would they discern what kind of material was being burned?
Right, that's a difficulty, isn't it? We didn't reach out to the police department directly. That's certainly something we can do. We did reach out to the fire department. The fire department doesn't regulate fire pits for single-family residential lots. I mean, they're exempt from their regulations. And so they're not going to get involved in land use regulations for fire pits.
All right, so in regards to Mr. Campbell's letter, would it take very long to do a cursory look at those numbers to verify whether they were accurate or not?
To look at all the R1B lots in town?
Yeah.
Again, I think that,
Give us an idea whether everything that was stated in that letter is factual or not, you don't have to tease it down to the micro level, but whether I can get a sense whether those numbers are at least relatively accurate.
I would think that would be somewhat simple to verify because Mike did get those numbers from the city.
Right.
So we just need to ask Mike who gave him those numbers, and then we verify with that person that those numbers are accurate.
Okay. So for our next meeting, if we can get an idea, those numbers are somewhat accurate. And then the second would be to have option A, which is what is here currently, and option B, which is what Mike suggested. And would you like him to reiterate what he would like?
Yes, please.
Again, I think the table stands as we suggested, except that the thing that I would like to see changed is again on the fire pits. And again, with my assumption that the numbers are correct, that the 25 feet would not prevent wood fire pits. I would like to see that changed back to what we originally discussed, that fire pits be natural gas or propane.
And that would be true for fire pits and fireplaces both?
No, just fire pits.
Fire pits, okay.
So at the next meeting, we'll have an option A and option B.
So there would be no 25-foot setback. There would simply be a prohibition for wood burning for fire pits.
Fire pits, that's correct. Permanent fire pits.
Any other thoughts? Sound good?
Other than the difficulty in enforcement, so maybe speaking with the police to see what kind of difficulty that would be.
I guess we
I
would
think the
want,
enforcement, they couldn't build one. If they went that route, they would have to build it, they would have to build it with gas.
Right. I mean, that's the simplicity of the gas and the natural gas and propane is there's no longer an enforcement issue. It's either got natural gas or propane or it doesn't get used.
well, the existing units would stay. Anything built prior to those regulations would remain in existence. And the police and fire would have no way to know what was built before and what may have been built after. So in terms of that type of enforcement, you know, they would just be called to handle a nuisance complaint. The other enforcement would come later.
Okay.
A question for the committee members, the dimension maximums on the fire pit, 9 square feet. As an old, I should say former geometry teacher, if it's round, that's going to be pi r squared. That's going to be less than 4 feet in diameter. That's rather small, it seems. I guess that would just limit those that are going to be built in the future, but most of them are quite a bit bigger than that in my experience.
Yeah, and again, George and Clark, you'll have to remind this old brain, but we did talk about the dimensions, but we were talking about them being a rectangular measurement, because we also at some point were going to include depth, so we'd have cubic measurements. But Bob I have a BA, not a BS, so I let that one go right past.
Just curious about that. People will just have to be aware and limit their construction accordingly.
Well, with 50-foot lots and 25 feet, there's no fire pit. So that's kind of the quickness of, you just don't have them in certain areas. It all has to do with you needing 66 feet. Or in my case, I have a 55-foot lot. So, fire pit would fit. Have no plans to, but it would be, it would fit. But I think if we wanted to have the opportunity, an A with a potential fire pit at 25 feet that can burn wood, or B, we just remove that and it's just gas or propane, gives an opportunity.
I think what I heard from Bob, though, raises a new issue in terms of did we
Consider the dimensions, right?
Yeah,
If it's a
yeah,
square, it would be 3-foot square,
right.
right? If it's circular, it's going to be less than 4 feet in diameter.
What about an oval? That's extra credit.
Well, I think this way we've got two options. Next meeting, we can go to a public hearing and receive comment. Okay?
Yeah.
Agreed.
All good?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get this off our agenda, one way or the other. All right, so we'll move on to item 8, staff comments.
I don't have anything in particular this month. Thank you.
Okay. Bob?
I'll just thank Mike for his recommendation last meeting to look at that citizen planner course online, which I have done and did complete this week, and there was a lot of good content in there. I downloaded a lot of the content, so I've got a little library on my computer I can refer back to as needed, so thanks for that tip, I appreciate it.
Shockingly, no comments. I know.
The only thing I wanted to say is thanks to the subcommittee that put their hard work in to come up with something that we can look at and hopefully push to the commission. Thank you.
Only comment is everybody has an opportunity to vote on Tuesday, and I hope you go out and do that. That's it.
No comment.
I want to thank the committee for their work, but I also want to thank those around the table here for a good discussion on the fireplace issue.
I was not at the last meeting, so welcome, Bob. I'm looking forward to working with you, and that's it.
I just want to reinforce what Clark said. It's wonderful that we have people that attend these meetings, that send us emails, but don't forget the most powerful thing you can do to shape the city government is to vote. Please do.
Okay. Question, we have one more subcommittee out there, correct? Lake Shore?
Oh, yeah.
And that's the only one?
I believe that to be the case.
And any idea what's next on their agenda, or date-wise?
I'm not sure. I would have to look into that and get back to you.
Okay.
Yes, I'll make a note to do that.
I think that's the only other outstanding matter before us. Question, Bob.
Yes,
Is
sir.
your favorite day of the year March 14th?
Pi Day, of course.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good.
3.141.
Just curious.
Because it's my brother's birthday.
All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll
So
make a mo-
moved.
Go.
So moved. We adjourn.
So I will second.
It's been moved and supported. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the motion carries. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all.